No.
No. Are you Jewish by any chance?
Don't know.
You don't know?
I'm going to take a DNA
You were holding the
test.
Israeli the Israeli flag a few weeks ago.
Again, Israel is Britain's ally. Israel won the popular vote last night in the Eurovision.
Really? Oh,
obviously the Palestinians.
That means they're a European colony. Thank you for pointing that out.
That's how you see it. Yes, that's how you see it.
Okay, so why are you scared of saying that you're Israeli? Why are you scared of saying you're Israeli? Why aren't you proud of being Israeli?
I'm very proud of supporting the Jewish community.
Okay.
I have just, for a mark of respect for their flag, I will wash it.
Okay.
It's with a friend, don't
so
worry.
do you know that BJP, which is in power,
this is not a BJP flag.
No, but they're in power in India.
Yes,
they're in
were
power.
Elected.
And do you know that the RSS, which is actually predating the Second World War, they were inspired by the Nazis. So how can you, as a supporter of Israel, support a party that was inspired by the Nazis?
Got the RSS in India?
Yes.
Right, okay. In India, they have elected a government. The Pakistanis were behind the terror attacks in Kashmir. If you basically send people over an international border, train them and commit atrocities, then that is an interstate issue. Trump has brokered peace, thank God, for now. But like I say, the government of India is the business of the Indian people who elected Narendra Modi.
Okay, so firstly,
I have a very strong. Sir, I know what you're doing.
Firstly, you didn't answer the question. You didn't answer the question I asked.
I can tell you.
You didn't answer the question.
I should be a politician because I
the
can tell you quite
Nazis, the Nazis inspired the RSS.
Yeah, the Nazis also had the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem all during the war.
Do you respect Gandhi? Do you respect Gandhi?
I think he was someone who saw a vision of a united India.
Okay, and who killed him?
A Hindu nationalist.
Who was part of? RSS.
There you go. Well, that's right.
You didn't know that, did you?
I knew he was killed by the RSS.
Are you Indian?
Yes.
Okay.
He was part of Hindu National Sabha. He was killed by a Hindu.
Okay.
Yeah. He was killed by.
So was he killed by Pakistanis or Kashmiris?
No,
he wasn't.
No.
He wasn't. So as a Jewish person, why are you supporting a
I'm
party?
suddenly Jewish. For supporting the Jewish people, I'm suddenly Jewish.
Okay, so were you not holding up the Israeli flag a few weeks ago?
That doesn't make me a Jew.
Okay, so you're not a Jew?
If I pick up a flag of Zimbabwe, that does not make me Zimbabwean.
Okay, so let me put it to you another sense.
This flag does not make me
okay,
Indian.
So let me put it
I
to you.
am here to defend the elected government of India.
Which is guilty of committing crimes against the Muslims in Gujarat in 2002, which is guilty of killing Sikhs
the Indian government were not
previously
behind
to that.
Stop
the Indian government were behind it. Who was ruling Gujarat at the time?
The ruler
Do you know?
of Gujarat at the time
Thank
was
you.
Narendra Modi.
You know what? I find you more reasonable for being direct. So Modi was in charge.
Yes.
What happened in Gujarat in 2002?
Yeah, so basically what happened that a train was going through and Muslims basically burned that train, which killed a lot of Hindus, around like 300 Hindus. And
Right.
after that, it resulted in a riot,
Yes.
which actually, because of which many Muslims were killed
Yes.
by Hindus.
By
who
who?
were-
By Hindus.
who
Right.
were educated.
Innocent
Yeah.
Muslims were killed?
Yes.
Okay, what did the police do when this was happening?
Yeah, so basically, government of Gujarat asked for police support from the neighboring states. None of them allowed them. None of the police officers or none of the chief ministers basically said that they want to help.
Who was the
Gujarat.
chief minister?
Who was the chief minister? Was
Modi.
Modi.
yes, Gujarat.
Okay, so once this was going on, the riots were happening. We have multiple. Yes, I am I am Pakistani. Yes.
I just want
so, yeah, but unlike him, I don't hide where I come from.
What do you mean,
right?
unlike
Unlike him.
What do you mean, unlike him? Can I actually-
unlike him.
Can
right?
I actually say
so,
something?
so what it is?
So
What it is this?
what you
What it is
discussing
this?
about,
A few weeks ago, this gentleman here was
Came with the flag
holding
of India,
the
Maharashtra
was
Zindabad.
holding the Israeli flag.
Yes, correct.
So he's a supporter of Israel. So a
Yes,
question
absolutely.
arises: as a supporter of Israel, which is a predominantly Jewish state, how can he hold the flag of a country which is under the control of the RSS? And the RSS,
not under the
it is
control.
control of the
It's
RSS.
the BJP.
They are.
No,
They
no,
are.
I
They
don't
are.
think
get a
so.
word in.
Okay,
I think you do not
is
understand the
Modi
difference between-
is
For
Modi
example-
is
for
Modi
example,
is Modi
wait,
part of
wait.
the RSS?
Modi was part of RSS. Now he's part of BJP.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So
So I think
BJP is the political wing of the RSS.
Let me clear.
Is it not
Yes,
right?
that is correct.
Thank you. That's exactly what
Can
I
I
was
just say
saying.
something?
So wait a minute. Let's take this.
No.
I'm
You're talking to your channel.
I'm actually getting some honesty from you, my friend.
When you have,
I'm actually more interested in talking to him now because he's actually being honest and direct,
I'm
unlike
being
you.
honest.
So
I'm being
firstly-
honest. He has
so
told
firstly-
me what
you asked
started
me a
those
question.
Do you,
riots.
okay,
Let me ask you a
do you
question.
agree? Do you agree that the BJP is the political wing of RSS?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so if Modi is in power and he's part of BJP, doesn't that mean RSS controls India?
No.
So what are you talking about?
Indian government is elected government. Okay, so
Yes.
Indians.
It could be a genocidal government. If it's elected, does it mean it's right?
Just like in Pakistan.
Just like in
At
Genesis.
Pakistan, we don't actually have the same democracy.
There's no Hindus, there's no Hindus
We don't
left to kill
actually.
now.
We don't
Of course,
actually
like,
have
they have
that.
already converted.
They're already
all
up to
the Hindus,
98%, aren't they? They're
previously,
already up to
like, in
98%.
Pakistan, they were, like,
Wait a
around
minute.
20%.
Wait a
There
minute.
are
Wait
more
a minute.
Muslims.
Wait a
There
minute.
are, like,
Wait a
There
minute.
are more
Wait a minute.
Muslims in
Let's look
India
at this.
than
Let's look
in
at this.
Pakistan.
Let's look at this.
Second thing is-
According to,
one second.
are you aware of Goldwalker?
Sorry?
Are you aware of Goldwalker?
No, I am not.
Okay, so when we're talking about the RSS, we should talk about Goldwalker. According to Goldwalker, Christians and Muslims are a problem in India. This is
Christians and Muslims are a problem in India. Okay.
Yeah, right. So the RSS ideology is a genocidal ideology.
So you think like
And the
Muslims
RSS
are not
ideology,
progressing in India,
the
right?
RSS, well, how can they progress?
Khan.
How
Okay.
can they
No, no, no,
progress
no. Shah
when
Rukh
they're
Khan.
being
Shah Rukh Khan.
when they're
APJ
being
Abdul
lynched
Kalam
when they're being lynched
was
for
one
carrying
of the-
meat?
APJ Abdul Kalam
Wait,
was
one
our
second.
was our prime president of India. Okay, there has not been a single prime minister, president from a minority community in Pakistan.
Of course,
Okay?
Yeah,
because it's a
yeah.
Muslim country.
It's a Muslim country, yeah. it's
So why
Muslim-
would
so
a
you
minority
don't-
be a
It's even more
president?
Muslim.
Why?
you don't
Wait,
provide-
wait.
you
This
don't
doesn't make
provide
any sense. This
Second
doesn't make
thing-
any
second
sense.
thing, when he
If
says, like,
India
okay,
decides to
they
put
are
a prime
butchering-
minister or president who's Muslim,
because
it
that's
doesn't
how-
mean
that's-
Pakistan
that's-
has to.
that's okay,
Secondly,
so first of all, no.
Modi. Let's go back to Modi
Wait,
because
wait.
you
Let's go
hold
back
no,
to
no, no,
Modi.
no. Now you are-
when you
now
were
are turning
holding
on.
the
No, no,
Israeli
no.
flag earlier, and now
He
I
can-
told you
he
it's
can-
hypocritical
he
for
can
you to
use-
hold the Indian
No,
flag,
it's not
which is
hypocritical.
under the
You can-
control of the
Those
RSS.
two are allies.
Modi,
Can I speak, please?
I'm going to make
Can
a
I
statement.
speak, please?
You don't need to do
Yes,
that
I
in
do,
Speaker's
because
Corner.
this
You just need to
gentleman-
speak.
this
You don't need
gentleman
my
has just told
permission
me
to speak.
that the Gujarat
Modi was
riots
not
started
allowed
Can
to
you
travel.
wear any flag you want?
Here's
You can
something
Exactly.
that
You want to
Indians
hoist
find
India
very
flag,
hard
you want
to
wave
actually
India flag.
justify.
I wave India
You can-
flag
you can
because
wear
I'm proud.
Pakistan flag
This
as well.
I am
is-
proud
You
to have
can
lived
wear
6
Israel
years
flag
in
as well.
India.
Whatever
Okay,
I
you
feel
want to do.
safer in
Because
Mumbai than I do in
India-
London.
because India
You,
has-
what it is this.
Yeah, I'm-
You are holding up this flag because in recent
I love
times,
India.
no, because in recent times,
I just love
because
India.
in recent times, there's been a conflict between India and Pakistan. That's why you're holding the flag.
Because I
Yeah,
support
and
India.
why-
Yes,
and
that's
because
the,
what
my
India
that's
does
the
not-
main issue.
India does
That's
not
the main
send
issue.
terrorists into Pakistan.
I mean,
India does not do that.
Okay,
India does not send terrorists into Pakistan.
Okay.
They do not send terrorists in. And you don't seem to understand, sir. Have you ever been in a real live South Asian riot?
One Muslim.
Okay,
That
so
Muslim
I have
firstly,
been proper
what you said,
fully
India
South Asian riot.
does not send terrorists to Pakistan. You said that correct?
That is correct.
So what was going on in Balochistan all these years?
Well, what
According
happened?
to, okay, let me give a reference here. According to Christina Fair, who is an American scholar, international relations scholar, she's admitted that India is funding terrorism in Balochistan. This is well known and well understood. Secondly,
and what Pakistan is doing in India?
here is a
What are
statistic
your
which is
thoughts
very
about-
hard
what
to
are your thoughts
justify.
about
What are
Here
your
is a
militants?
statistic.
Stop.
I
They were
came
killing-
back from
What
Kashmir. Have you
about
been to
You're
Kashmir?
engaging in
Have you
what?
been to
Yes, I've
Kashmir?
been to
What
Okay,
terrorism?
wait, one second.
You're engaging in
Do you
One
know
second,
about
let me have a
Ajmal
conversation.
Kasab?
Let me
Do
have
you
a
know about
conversation.
Ajmal
What
Kasab?
about
just
what's
came
happened
back
to
from
Kashmir
Kashmir.
with Lebanon?
Let me
What
just
about
explain.
what's happened with
Let me just
Kashmir with
explain.
Lebanon?
Pakistanis have their footprints
Let me
and
just
all over
explain.
all over the world.
I
that
came
there
back
are
from
there
Kashmir.
terrorist attacks.
I came back.
Pakistan is number
I
one
came back from
exporter of
Kashmir.
terrorism.
You
Whether
said
it
you've
is
been to
9/11,
Kashmir.
whether Osama
Yeah.
bin Laden.
I'm going to
Bin
ask
Laden
this
was-
question.
Osama bin
Okay.
Laden was in
Okay.
Pakistan.
Do you know what?
Yeah,
Do you know what? Every single time, every
All of
single
Pakistan
time,
knew that
the
Osama bin Laden
Indians.
was round the
Okay,
corner.
let's talk about Bin
Osama
Laden.
bin Laden
I'm
was
happy
round
to
the
talk.
corner.
Do you want to talk about Bin Laden? I want to talk about Bin
No, I
Laden.
want to talk about
I wanna-
the
Do you want to? Do you want to talk about Bin Laden?
You always say that.
Do you want to talk about Bin Laden? Okay, why should we talk about Bin Laden? Should we talk about Bin Laden? Okay, we spoke about Modi the terrorist. Let's speak about Bin Laden.
Are we going to do
Where
time?
was Bin Laden
Are we
found?
doing time?
Abdabad. Wait a minute. Abdabad. He was found in Pakistan, correct?
Yes.
Is he alive or dead?
He's dead, thank God.
Where is the terrorist of Gujarat? He is the Prime Minister of India.
The one who attacked.
That's the
innocent
difference.
Hindus.
That's the difference.
No.
Bin Laden is dead, and
Because
Modi,
Bin Laden
who was
was a
banned.
terrorist.
Okay,
India-
Modi is a
Modi is
bigger
the-
terrorist than Bin Laden. Yes, he is.
What? That's
And
rubbish.
I'll give
What
you-
just said is
I'll give
rubbish.
you
Look at it
evidence.
on camera.
Well,
I'll
Pakistan
give
is
you
having been
evidence.
master of denial all of their life. Like,
In
they will
They
say,
are
Kashmir.
master of
We
terror.
are
I
terrorists.
recently
We are not
came
terrorists.
back
We
from
just
Kashmir. In Kashmir.
Fantastic.
In Kashmir,
No, he's just talking
there
all
are
the time.
hundreds of thousands of
Osama
soldiers.
bin Laden was dead because
In Kashmir,
the point is
there are
that
hundreds of thousands of soldiers.
it was.
And these hundreds of
What
thousands
started the
of
Gujarat riots? What started it?
Hindutva soldiers cannot control that valley because they are not wanted. My friend, can I have one conversation at a time? Can I have one conversation
You're just
at a
talking
time?
all the time, sir.
So I'm not actually,
You are.
because
I've
you
been
are
asking
here
to speak
as
for
a
about the
hypocrite.
last five- No, I'm
okay,
not.
do you love
No,
the
I'm
Jewish
not.
people? Do you love the Jewish people?
Absolutely, I do.
Okay, my friend here said
And the people of
he
Mumbai.
loves the Jewish people, yet he is supporting a party which was inspired by the Nazis,
Jelly smelly.
and he claims
I don't like that.
that he loves the Jewish people.
Yes.
The fact is, there's a huge difference between Judaism and Zionism.
Rubbish. Rubbish.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Why is it? Why is it? My friend, let me have a chat with him, please. My friend, why is it that some of the biggest voices against Zionism are Jewish voices?
That's correct.
Where is Finkelstein from? He is the descendant of people who survived the Holocaust. Where is Dave Smith from, who's in the famous debate with Douglas Murray on the Joe Rogan show? He's also Jewish. So what you are trying to do, you're trying to say Judaism is the same as Zionism. No, it is not. Secondly, you are supporting Hindutva. And Hindutva were inspired by the Nazis
No,
who committed
I'm
the
not. I'm
Holocaust.
supporting India. Stop conflating.
Who's in power
Stop
in India?
Conflating.
Okay, wait a
Stop
second.
conflating.
Wait a second. This man wants to claim
Do you want to do time?
he is
Do you want to
supporting
do time?
India.
I support the Indian government.
Okay,
Can
fine.
I speak
okay,
for
good.
a minute?
Okay, I'll let you speak in 1 second. Just let me make one point, then you'll speak. Here's the argument I'm giving you, and I want you to respond, and I'll be quiet for you.
Why
If
don't
you
do
are
that after I speak?
supporting the Indian government, then you are supporting the RSS and the BJP, which was inspired by the Nazis, which is an enemy of the Jewish people. So you holding that flag in this current conflict is you being hypocritical.
No, it's not. Because I'll tell you something. I will tell you something. I will tell you something very clearly. The Gujarat riots were started by extremist Islamists attacking Hindus. Now, I have actually been in a real-life Indian riot. They actually smashed my car windscreen. I wasn't too happy about that. The police could not control the riots. Now, my understanding of the Gujarat riots is that the police could not control what was going on because feelings were running high. Now, I do not support the BJP simply because I cannot support them. I'm not an Indian national. But I do know that with my own eyes, I have seen democracy happening in India. And they want a strong government. They want...
Complete your point.
You should watch Rustrum. You should watch... The reason why there is no trial by jury...
Complete your point.
So
Don't listen to him.
basically, the government in India stands firm against the terrorism that happened in Kashmir, and you will not condemn what happened in Kashmir.
Okay.
You have to look on The Guardian. If you're reading The Guardian, that's not necessarily a good news source.
Have you finished your point?
Yeah, go.
Okay. So my friend here, not friend.
Yeah,
I
it's not
normally,
good so far.
when I'm talking to people in Speaker's Corner, I say friend. So I said friend accidentally.
Oh, so-
Because this person is certainly no friend of anything that is in any way humane. So
So
let
you're
me
calling
complete the point.
BJP inhumane. Thank you.
Absolutely, I am.
Okay.
So what he said here is, I am not supporting the RSS or the BJP, I'm supporting the Indian government.
Because they're elected.
But like the Indian citizen who was here earlier alluded to, and what is well known, is that BJP is the political wing of the RSS. And the RSS was supported by the Nazis. So in a conflict between Pakistan and India, when you raise the Indian flag, you are supporting the Indian government, which is a BJP government. The second point that you made about Gujarat, what you said about Gujarat is patently false. Gujarat riots were instigated, supervised, managed by Modi himself, which led to a travel ban in America, in the UK, in Europe. And that travel ban was not removed until he won the elections and became a Prime Minister of India. So the question is, why would America, which is an ally of India, why would it ban Modi from traveling to America after the Gujarat riots? And the reason is simple. The same reason that human rights organizations have pointed out, that the BJP government is systematically demonizing the Muslims. And the riots that took place in Gujarat were the complete handiwork of the RSS, of the BJP, and I also want to say something about Gandhi. Gandhi was killed by the RSS, and the RSS see Gandhi as an enemy of their political system. And one more thing about the RSS, that Hindu flag, that flag of India, that flag of India only came about due to the independence movement in which Muslims, Sikhs, Hindus, Jains, Dalits worked together to fight the British, but the RSS did not. Why? Because the RSS inherently are not a pro-Hindu movement. They are a distortion of Hinduism. They are a disease which is spreading all across the world, and the many crimes that they have committed in Kashmir. I came back from Kashmir. In Indian occupied Kashmir, there are hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Why are there hundreds of thousands of soldiers in a valley?
To keep the peace.
In a valley
To keep the peace.
which is smaller than London. And the reason why is because of this. The reason is because they are not wanted. The people of Kashmir, they want to be independent. Whether they want to be part of Pakistan or they want to be independent, it should be a referendum as the UN mandates. Yet, just like Israel flagrantly goes against the UN, so does the Hindutva Indian government. This is why this gentleman here a few weeks ago, I was debating him about Zionism, and now I'm debating him about Hinduism. Zionism and Hinduism are both retarded cousins. The only difference is Hindutva is an unhygienic version of Zionism.
Right. What you are doing is conflating two issues. So I'm actually going to point out one thing to you. The Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, who was the leader of the Jerusalem, because there were no Palestinians at that time. Look up historical references. The leader of Jerusalem, the Grand Mufti, spent all of the war in Berlin. And there are pictures with him with Hitler. Now, the Zionist movement were the majority of Jews who wanted a Jewish state. Before 1919, or 1918, whichever year you think the First World War ended. Before that, there was the Ottoman Empire, where Arabs, Jews and the Turks lived under one empire, and the international community supported the state of Israel in 1918 in the form of the Mandate for Palestine. Palestine is already free. Palestine was the name of a territory, not a people, and Israel was founded with the backing of the United Nations. Now, again, the Gujarat riots were not right. There were individual, let me finish, is that if anyone kills someone for their faith, that is wrong. But what started it? What started it was an unprovoked attack by radical Islamists on Hindus, and it started a riot. There is also the fact that the government of India is the business of the government in India. Look at your statistics. In Pakistan, which means, please acknowledge this, which means pure state. That is what it means. There is no other translation. The Pakistan, which means pure state, the numbers of Muslims have increased as a percentage of the population to now around 98%. Whereas in India, India has more Muslims. So I would hope, if I ever did get to speak to the Indian government, that they tackle violent Islamic extremism. But I can tell you for a fact, and he is a good man, the person who was advising the Ambani family is a Muslim. He's a Bori Muslim, and he's a very good, more Bori Muslim. He condemns violence in the name of religion, and he advised the Ambani family, who are essentially the power behind the BJP, as people say. It is wrong to kill people for their faith, and yet Pakistan was harbouring Osama bin Laden. I'm sorry, Osama bin Laden is rather a big figure to be hiding. So I support the right of the Indian country to self-determination and free and fair elections. That is up to them. I have a policy, sir. And this is where you'll say, oh, you cooked me. You can do whatever you like with me. I wouldn't taste very nice. But I will say one thing. The government of India is an elected democratic government, sir. It's democratically elected. The most famous Bollywood actor, who I don't think is the best, by the way, Shah Rukh Khan, he's a good actor, but he's not as good as the actor from Rustam. I like the actor from Rustam, but I can't remember his name. Salman Khan is okay. There's also, I know them all by sight. But India is a successful multicultural country. But the thing is that the violent radical Islam does not like it when a strong government takes action against the terrorists from Pakistan. And what the Pakistani government have done is gone around spreading fake news that 5 Indian jets were down. That is fake news. And because they are so desperate, because India defended itself and was the victor in that border skirmish. And I would like to thank President Trump, because you only get peace through strength. Only because of President Trump is there now peace and a ceasefire. And Trump will go in and say, okay, let's bring the two sides together. You mention a fair plebiscite or referendum in Kashmir. There cannot be a fair plebiscite because Pakistan has engaged in ethnic cleansing on its side of the border. So how can you say that a free and fair election can take place, and that is the role of the United Nations? It is none of my business how there is peace in Kashmir. None of my business. But the Indian army was there to preserve the peace, and tourism has come back to the region since the Indian government have revoked Article 370. That is the business of the Indian government, because they were freely and fairly elected. Not only was I there for the 2019 election, I looked down from my balcony and saw a free and fair election. I did not see any intimidation. I did not see people with guns. They went in, they voted, and they voted for Modi. There are also many Muslims who do not want Islamic extremism, and they voted for Modi. Now, if you want to talk about Modi's implication in the Gujarat riots, fair enough. It's none of my business. It is a fact that President Trump was falsely indicted. It is the fact that the left in America have falsely indicted Trump. And I don't know enough about the situation, but clearly the people of India trust Narendra Modi to govern them.
Okay. You done?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. And the first thing I want to do is I want to speak about some factually clear statements which are known all across the world, which are very hard to deny, and then I'm going to go into the two narratives that you described. The first thing I want to do is just to say, this man here takes statements, takes positions which are factually incorrect, and then he puts them together to try and create a narrative. Now, he said many different things which are quite incoherent, but I want to give an example.
What, free and fair election is incoherent?
I didn't interrupt you. I just want to give an example so you understand why I am saying he makes factually incorrect statements. He, for example, said Pakistan did not shoot down Indian aeroplanes. I want him to consider the national interest. Le Monde, Financial Times, Reuters, none of these are Indian or Pakistani outlets, yet all of them have acknowledged that the Pakistani Air Force shot down multiple Indian planes. Secondly, Christina Fair, who I referred to earlier, who is an Islamophobe, who is a Zionist, who is a Hindutva supporter, she also acknowledged that the Indian claims of shooting down JF-17s, shooting down Pakistani planes, is false. What we also have is movement in the stock market amongst the Chinese military defense industry, in which shares are going up and the shares of the French military plane Rafale is going down. So that is one example of many of the factually incorrect statements he made. A second statement that he keeps making: India is a democratically elected government. I grant you that. Does that mean that their actions are allowed even if they go against basic human rights? I am not speaking about Pakistan, I'm not speaking about Bangladesh, I'm not speaking about the Indian Muslim outlets, I am speaking about Amnesty International, I am talking about Oxfam, I am talking about the multiple human rights organizations that have spoken about the persecution of Muslims in India and in Kashmir. And I want to say something. A few days ago, I was in the valley of Kashmir. And in Kashmir, on the Indian side, there are hundreds of thousands of soldiers in that valley, because the people of Kashmir, they do not want to be ruled by Hindutva. They do not want to be ruled by this pagan religion. They want to live their lives according to their own free will. Now I'm going to move away from talking about disconnected facts to the meta-narrative. The meta-narrative of this man is the attack that happened in Pahalgam. I, as a Muslim, say that the attack in Pahalgam is an un-Islamic, unethical, immoral attack on tourists and should be condemned.
Thank you.
But you will not condemn Modi for killing Muslims in Gujarat.
Modi.
Wait, I didn't interrupt you. Let me complete my point. You will not condemn the women in Kashmir being gang raped by Indian soldiers, and this you will find not only in Pakistani media outlets, you will find this on the BBC, you will find this in Western media outlets, you will find that the Indians, the Indian Hindutva soldiers, they would go and they would torture people and they would hold up the valley through terror. And while I am talking about women being raped, this scumbag is saying Jai Hind. And that goes to show you, and so is he, that goes to show you, Jai Hind. Let me tell you something as a Muslim. As a Muslim,
There's never any Pakistani.
I did not interrupt you. I did not interrupt you, but you are interrupting me because facts hurt. Let me tell you something. Jai Hind was a statement that was being used by warmongers. And I want you to realize something. Why is an Israeli supporter holding up the flag of the Indian government, which is a BJP RSS government? I'll tell you why. It's because of a reason. The Nakba, which took place in 1948, is similar to the Nakba that the Kashmiris went through in India. And just like the Israelis claim everything began October the 7th, likewise, Hindutva government claims everything began in Pahalgam. No, it didn't. The Kashmiri people have been brutalized for decades. The Palestinians have been brutalized for decades. And by Allah, both will be free from Zionism and from Hindutva.
And what about Islam? When is
Takbir!
going to leave Pakistan?
Palestinians have always been losing. Every war, Pakistan has always lost. The Palestinians have always lost every war. Name me one war that Pakistan won. Name me one war that Palestine won. And then tell me Allahu Akbar.
Okay, good.
That's a challenge.
Fine. Let me do
That's a
it.
challenge.
Okay.
Now answer my challenge.
I like
And
that.
show me that
I like
Islam
that.
is
Rape Bangla people.
What's your name? What's your name?
Pakistani
What's your name?
irrespective. Not required.
You're just engaging in.
Okay. I want to take on your challenge. I want to take on your
Take on the
challenge.
challenge. I'll tell you one thing. I thought you'd finish.
Oh, sorry.
Right. What you are saying is that there has never been any Muslim ever raped a Hindu girl. What you are saying is that there are multiple reports of violent Islamic extremism, and I think there needs to be a royal commission in this country on violent Islamic extremism. When they rape Hindu girls, when they murder Hindu men, and what happens, and what happens is this guy basically conflates. What about the violent threats made against Candid with Lubna, who is now afraid for her personal safety? What about that?
Okay, can we finish?
And I'll tell you no, because you made a multiple load of points. There has never ever been a country called Palestine, and until 1964 they never even identified themselves as Palestinian. If you go back to Arab leaders, and I'll find it, they say specifically that this is Arab sources saying there is no such thing as a Palestinian. Now, there was a displacement of people in the 1948-49 war because the invading Arab armies told the local residents to leave. Now, I'm sorry, if you've just been attacked by the other side, you don't let people from the other side back. It is absolute insanity. And the international community has been too soft on this situation because there are very, very few genuine refugees left from that war. President Trump has suggested a solution for the wonderful territory of Gaza, because the territory of Gaza has been turned into a terrorist state with more tunnels per capita than London and Paris put together. And those tunnels are designed for terrorism. There are Jewish women and children being hidden away in civilian areas of the Gaza territory. That is cowardly, and that shows that there are civilians who are basically backing Hamas, and that Hamas are hiding in military
One second.
What is happening in reality? What is happening is that this is all false propaganda. Hamas terrorists are hiding in medical convoys. Hamas are operating out of hospitals. They have found AK-47s in hospitals. When I go to Wexham Park hospitals, I find doctors, medicines. I do not find AK-47s. But if you go to Gaza hospitals, that is what you find.
Okay, one second. Let me finish, sir. Let me talk to him 1 second. I want to highlight something that this man said. He admitted to something that we have been saying. as supporters of the Palestinian people for the past 2 years, we have said Israel is committing collective punishment.
No, they're not.
I didn't interrupt you, sir. Is committing collective punishment. These are his words, not mine.
No, I didn't.
Hamas
I did
under the ambulance, Hamas under the mosque, Hamas under the school, Hamas this. Let me give you an
They're
analogy.
everywhere.
Sir, I didn't interrupt you. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine there is a hostage that has been taken on Park Lane and the terrorist is holding a baby. The Israeli sniper will say to the international community, I believe this terrorist is holding a baby as a human shield, so I will shoot the baby, I will shoot the ambulance workers, they may be working with him, I will shoot the school children, I will rape those women as well, I will do all those things. They may be Hamas, there may be a 1% chance they are Hamas. That is his logic.
There are credible reports.
One second, I'm not finished. Secondly, on Sky News, which itself is a Zionist outlet, on Sky News, and I want to highlight something which is absolutely amazing. Scumbags like Piers Morgan, even though he's a Zionist shill, even he has to criticize Israel now. That's how bad the situation is. The Israeli spokesman on Sky News was being asked about recently in Rafah, the ambulance workers who were shot dead, and Israel was found to be lying. He asked a simple question, and it's a question that he doesn't want to answer, and the Hindutva doesn't want to answer. Why can they not allow independent journalists in Gaza? And why can they not allow independent journalists to investigate what happened in Pahalgam? Because Hindutva and Zionism, whether it comes to the partition or it comes to Nakba, they both have the same meta-narratives, which is a meta-narrative of demonization and collective punishment.
No.
Hey, look, Hamas! Hey, look, Hamas!
No.
Hey, look, Hamas!
No.
Let's kill all the
No,
children.
no.
That's his logic.
No. What happens, there are credible reports of a situation where Hamas fighters were on top of an ambulance. If you go firing, if I get an ambulance to the local hospital, I will not have someone on the top with an AK-47. Hamas terrorists hang out in ambulances. Hamas terrorists can fire rockets from hospitals. Hamas terrorists hide behind women and children because they are cowards. There is no genocide going on in the Gaza Strip. There is no genocide. And the Jewish community are living in fear from all these hateful lies. If you conduct military activity in a building, then it becomes a target. I will give you a specific example of a father who told his child to go and throw stones at an IDF fighter. And because the IDF fighter is not a coward like Hamas, the IDF fighter gave the kid high five. So Hamas are drawing are hiding behind women and children, and you know it. You know this is happening.
Let me explain something to you.
1 second, sir. I'm talking to him. 1 second.
If you are a soldier, you come out and fight. Hamas will not come out and fight. They are hiding in tunnels, which is why they built them. This is not rocket science. If you build a tunnel, it means you are hiding. If you are building a tunnel, the people of Gaza need to be liberated from Hamas, which is why the IDF have launched a major operation in order to liberate Gaza from Hamas.
So why they
Okay, 1 second. Are you done?
I'm done, yeah.
Okay. What I want to do is I want to narrow it, and you can see Hindutva working together with Zionists. Look at them. And do you know what? I will give an example. I will give an example of a Zionist attack on a child, and that is Hind Rajab. Hind Rajab, according to him, she's game. because she might be Hamas, might give birth to Hamas in the future. Her ponytail might have some secret information which could be conveyed to Hamas. I also want to highlight, just like Zionists kill children in Palestine because there are no two-state solution here, there's only Palestine. Likewise, Asifa Bano from Kashmir was a girl like Hind Rajab who was killed by the Hindutva. Hindutva used the same logic as the Zionists because they both have the same meta-narratives. Their meta-narratives is this, and look at these Hindus, look at these Indians celebrating when we're talking about children being murdered. When I was talking about people being raped by Indian soldiers, the man over there from India said, Jai Hind. Imagine that. Long live India, he's saying, when I'm talking about people being killed and raped. This is, see, there we go, again. I give a challenge to the Hindutva, to the Zionists. They will never ever move away from the logic that they have of demonization and collective punishment. When I challenged him to the collective punishment demonization narrative. Okay, I didn't interrupt you, but since you interrupted me, he said there is no collective punishment. Have a bird's eye view of Gaza. What's happened to Gaza? It's been leveled. The same thing that has been happening to the Kashmiris for decades. Collective punishment. And I want to say something. The man here, the Hindutva man who was saying Jai Hind earlier, he gave me a challenge and I want to answer the challenge. He said, give me a single war the Palestinians won. And this man here is a supporter of Zionism and Hindutva, and so is he. And both of them, they are challenging me to give examples of where the Pakistani or the Kashmiris have won and the Palestinians have won. So I will give an example where they have won, and I want you to address it. The fact that today Israel, with its navy, its army, its security services, its intelligence services, it cannot defeat Palestine is evidence of victory. The fact that India, with over 1 billion people, with their army, with their navy, with their air force, with their intelligence, with their cyber warfare capabilities, cannot stop the Kashmiris is evidence of their victory. And likewise, Zionism and Hindutva will both be footnotes in history because they cannot defeat an indigenous people who are standing up for their rights and an indigenous people who believe in La ilaha illallah. They believe there's none worthy of worship except Allah. We are not cowards, you are cowards, and you are cowards for attacking children, for using all of your weaponry. And I'm going to make a challenge to you and to you. Here's a question, I want you all to listen. Why has India and why has Israel, with all of their weapons and all of their army and navy and police and international relations that they have with all the countries, why have they not managed to control Palestine and control Kashmir? Answer that question.
I'll answer the question. Hamas keep hiding behind women and children. There is devastation in Gaza because every time the IDF attacks a building, now this is on the BBC, the IDF made a call. They said, get out of this building, we are going to destroy it, because they had credible intelligence that there was Hamas activity going on there, and they made every effort. They made...
You're a liar!
I'll stop when he stops.
India destroyed Muslims!
We're having a debate. Okay, let's talk. Carry on.
Tell them 350.
Let me make him point. Let me make his point.
I do some India-style drinking.
No.
Oh, go on. Just I won't let it touch my mouth. All right. Well, I'll give you an answer, a straight answer.
You can piss off.
All right. The Israel Defense Force rang because they had credible intelligence that there was military activity going on in the building, but yet they phoned the leader of the building. to say, get people out. We are going to destroy this building. And they gave plenty of time. The reason why Gaza is devastated is because of Hamas. No one else. It is because Hamas is a terrorist organization dedicated to the extermination of the Jewish people. That is why. Now, what happens with the Pakistan issue? We have the same problem. You would think that Pakistan was the most peaceful, loving state that had ever existed, yet they keep doing things like the Taj Mahal hotel attacks, they keep attacking tourists in Kashmir, and the reason why they attack the tourists is because they want to cast terror into the people of Kashmir. They want to spread terrorism, and in Indian-administered Kashmir, if there were a fair plebiscite, that would be something for the Indian government and the international community. But India is a federal system, just like America is. The Indian government decided to govern directly in Kashmir because of all the terrorism that is going on there. The trouble is that Pakistan is #1 exporter of terrorism. The problem is that the Arabs in Gaza and Judea and Samaria have only been identifying as Palestinian since the 1960s. Before that, you will not find a single credible historical source to a Palestinian people. And so, what is happening here is taqiyya. What is happening is that no Hindu should attack a Muslim. But this, according to this guy, no Muslim has ever attacked a Hindu. That is absolute rubbish. There are so many rapes on Hindu women in places like Uttar Pradesh, in the north of India. There are so many atrocities committed by Muslim on Hindu, and so it is human nature for the Hindus to strike back. I lived in Mumbai where I felt at peace, and I did not have anyone try and impose their religion or beliefs on me. So that is the only reason why I come to support the state of India. I am not a Hindu. But you never ever hear of someone coming out of India chanting the name of a Hindu god and then something blows up. You never hear this. Terrorism comes from Pakistan, which is called the pure state. If I, and by the way, note my language, if I were calling for a pure state, that is exactly what Hitler called for. So Pakistan gets its roots from Hitler, that you can only have a state for Muslims because they said they wanted a Muslim majority state. It has gone up from around 70% to now 97% because Pakistan has engaged in ethnic cleansing, Pakistan has engaged in terrorism, and Pakistan was harbouring Osama bin Laden. I mean, what do you think the local residents were doing?
Okay, 1 second. One second.
What did the neighbours of Osama bin Laden do? Oh, I'm just going to pop round. I'm out of milk. Let's go and ask the bin Ladens. Hello.
Okay, 1 second. 1 second. Okay, are you done? Are you done? Let me answer him. Then ask you. Okay.
You need to talk to him.
Every single conversation that we have deflection. Why is it that every single time he speaks, he adds a new layer of falsehood?
No, I don't.
He said, this man, talking about me, is not willing to admit that Hindu women could have been raped by Muslims or Hindus could have been killed by Muslims. I am not only ready to acknowledge that that is something that could have happened, I am also willing to acknowledge that whichever Muslim involves themselves in a crime like that, I can say is un-Islamic. I can openly say the killing of tourists in India, the killing of civilians in India is forbidden by Islam. But you cannot say that about the Palestinians because your president referred to the Palestinians as the Amalekites. And what are the Amalekites? What happened to them? Their children their elderly, their men, their women, their babies, and even the donkeys were killed. The collective punishment of Gaza is something which is evidence of the intent of the Israelis. One of the Israeli ministers, he called for the new king of Gaza. Likewise, Israel loves India because India is under the control of the Hindutva. Yet before Modi came to power, in the 1950s and 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s, the early 2000s, India was a supporter of Palestine. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that. Before the RSS came to power, India, alongside the Soviet Union, who they were close to, were supporters of the Palestinian people. So this man is not only wrong in terms of the things that he's saying, even his own narrative is incoherent.
Rubbish.
Secondly, when it comes to the issue of Kashmir, the question that he doesn't want to answer is this: why is there media blackout in Kashmir? And why is there a media blackout in Gaza? I am Muslim. I am a hater of Zionism and Hindutva. You are a supporter of Hindutva and Zionism. Why don't we let independent journalists investigate in Kashmir and in Gaza? The reason why is because you know the Israelis have a lot of dead bodies underneath the rubble. And you also know that the Hindutva soldiers have committed mass crimes, as have been documented by international organizations in Kashmir. One last thing that he said, and I want to acknowledge this point. Pakistan's population of Hindus has gone down. That is a fact.
By quite a long way.
That is a fact. I'm acknowledging that fact. I am right next to the border of India. That's where I originally come from, and I was there a few days ago. My own home village, my own area had Hindus and Sikhs. And those Hindus and Sikhs, they traveled across the border, and Indian Muslims traveled here. The partition is what took place. The two-nation theory was being applied. That has nothing to do with justifying your crimes in Gaza and your crimes in Kashmir. One last point I want to make is this. I made a challenge and you ignored the challenge. And the challenge was set by the Hindutva guy who's gone now. And the question was, when have the Palestinians won? And I said, and I'll say it again, the Palestinians are winning. The Palestinians are winning by the very fact that they are still alive. Yet Israel, with its army, with its navy, with its police, with Mossad, with Epstein Island, blackmailing people all across the world, with AIPAC, stealing billions from the poor of America. All of this, and they still cannot defeat Palestine. Why is that? That is because the Palestinians have the hearts of lions, and the Israelis, they have the hearts of mice.
The term Palestinian was invented by the KGB. They never identified as Palestinians before 1960. Yasser Arafat had an Egyptian parent because when the Jewish people came back to the territory, they prospered it, and so Arabs moved into the territory. He is spreading hate and lies. There is no genocide going on in Gaza. There are Hamas cowards hiding behind women and children.
To kill them.
There are Hamas.
That's his logic.
There are Hamas
his logic
fighters.
is.
You said you.
Sorry.
There are Hamas terrorists, because they're not soldiers, they're not real men, hiding behind women and children, hoping they are killed. There is no genocide going on in the Gaza Strip. You are actually correct. I would not blame an Israeli for saying, could we use our bigger weapons? Because what could happen if they were trying to exterminate the Arabs in Gaza? They could do so in about a week, but they do not want to do that. What they want is peace. And the other thing you do not say, the Arabs have rejected peace 5 times. Edward Barak, who was the Prime Minister, Ulman Barak, who was the Prime Minister of India in 2008, suggested a peace solution with tunnels going between Gaza and Judea and Samaria. And again, the Arabs rejected it. Every time the Israelis offer peace, the Arabs reject it, because the objective here is the annihilation of the Jewish state. And that is what they do not tell you. It is called taqiyya. And so what is going on here is he is conflating the two issues. But India and Israel have problems from violent Islamic extremists. And India wants nothing more than the leaders of all communities to work together to eliminate terrorism. You should never ever give in to terrorists. The terrorists of Hamas took innocent women and children on October the 7th, and they will not give them back. And now, thanks to President Trump, the Israeli army is now showing its teeth, and there will soon, I believe, be peace in that region. But peace through strength, peace through President Trump. God bless you. God bless you, President Trump. President Trump got a ceasefire in India and Pakistan. Long live President Trump. It is because of Trump backing up the people against terrorism that we have a chance for more peace in the world. Thank you, Donald Trump.
Like I have done before, the first thing I'm going to do is dismantle some of the factually false statements that he's making, and then, I didn't interrupt you, and then I'm going to challenge the meta-narrative. One of the things that he is saying is God bless Trump.
Yes.
And he is also trying to make it look like America is the friend of Israel. Let me make one thing clear. America is not friends with Israel. America is the slave of Israel. There is a difference. What happened to USS Liberty when the Israelis attacked the Americans? What is happening with AIPAC, where they are bribing American senators and they are investing pennies and they're getting hundreds of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, hundreds of millions back in return? AIPAC is a system of depriving the American poor. So do not believe his lies that Israel is friends with America. Israelis do not give a damn about Americans. Israelis have simply bought the American politicians, and even the American right, even the American right has recognized, and they're turning against the fact that their country is being monetarily raped by the Israelis. The second point I want to make, we are talking about abstract numbers, abstract concepts. So I want to bring it down to Hind Rajab. Hind Rajab, who took hundreds of bullets while she was in an ambulance. The justification you heard from his mouth multiple times, maybe she was Hamas, maybe that was a Hamas ambulance, maybe that was a Hamas cloud, maybe that was a Hamas building. They have used this collective punishment to annihilate the people of Gaza. Did you notice when Netanyahu calls the Palestinians Amalekites, he doesn't want to address that point, because we know what happened to the Amalekites according to the Old Testament. What you find amongst him Him and the Hindutva here, they will not talk about Hind Rajab, and they will not talk about Asif Abano. They will not talk about these people.
Christian.
Give him a go.
So what?
Come on, you don't want to
So what?
Do you know what
No,
people are mean?
you're engaging in lies again.
Let's say let him speak first. Let him speak first. You don't want to speak?
I want to answer. You have just repeated. You have just repeated and are verging on an anti-Semitic trope. And the anti-Semitic trope. Can you please be quiet? Because otherwise it'll.
Oh no, they're fighting amongst each other.
He is starting.
Allah
no,
says
I'm not.
they-
He's just having a conversation. What you have just started to say is you are treading very close to blatant anti-Semitism. Send this to my Jewish friends. You are starting to say that it's all Israel's fault, that it's just the Jews who are basically funding America and it's just all the Jews' fault. Because fundamentally, the Palestinian people did not exist in the 50s. Now, you would have thought if there was a people that their history would go back a few years. You do not find any credible 20th century source pre-war talking about Palestinian people. In fact, actually, the Nazis referred to Palestinians as Jews. Now, I note the cowardice of the Islamists in this part. I have told them that if this flag is touched, I will send the video to the Ambanis, and they are not people to piss around with. And so what is going on here are lies, lies, and more lies. If you are a fighter, you do not hang out in an ambulance. If you are a fighter, you do not store AK-47s in the classroom.
And they will not answer that.
And you will not answer that. Pakistan, Hindus and Christians have fled Pakistan because of the persecutions. He also does not talk about the trains full of dead people that arrived back in India because of attacks by Islamic extremists. And in such a situation, the Indian government has every right to defend Kashmir because it is India. The Indian government has to defend Kashmir because it was the Pakistanis who illegally invaded it. If you invade a country, you invalidate what the United Nations said. If you've invaded Essex and cleared people from Essex, then there could never be a free and fair referendum in Essex. You come out with lie and lie and lie. Go to the website of Stop the Hate. It's called Stop the Hate. It is a Jewish organisation. Jews are terrified. Candid with Lubna is terrified. I am not terrified of Islamic extremism. I am not terrified of terrorism because I know what is right, and what is right is for me the Lord Jesus. But I also condemn the so-called Christians in this park, which is one of the reasons I come down here, is condemning idiots like Bob who are saying crusades, idiots like Bob who are basically preaching a false gospel. A true Christian is no threat to a Hindu. The Roman Catholic Church in its current form is not a threat to Hindus in India. And I would say to anyone in India that there needs to be reconciliation between all communities. But I would say to the people of India, true Christianity poses you no threat. Even Roman Catholicism, which I totally disagree with, does not currently form a threat to the people of India. The threat to the people of India is radical Islamic extremism. The threat to the people of Kashmir is radical Islamic extremism. And the reason why the Indian army were there and are there is they will defend their territory against violent Pakistani terrorism.
Okay, the first thing I want to say, when you ask Israelis to stop killing children, when you ask Israelis to stop destroying Gaza, when you ask Israelis to stop exploiting other nations, they threaten you with a term, and he used that term, and the term is anti-Semitic. He wants me to shut my mouth about dead children because he's threatening me with the term anti-Semitic. Yet, I am the first one in this park who made a distinction between Jewish people and Zionism. I am the first one in this debate who spoke about Finkelstein and Dave Smith, who are Jewish supporters of Palestine. I am the first one in this park who said that the RSS should not be supported because they were inspired by the Nazis. He wants me not to criticize Israel because I may get labeled as anti-Semitic. That is a curtailment of freedom of speech. And guess what? No one is buying that anymore.
Because it's rubbish.
Because the biggest supporters of Palestine and the loudest ones we have seen online, even they are Jewish. Secondly, his second threat to me, if I touch this flag, he will send it to the Ambanis, and I should worry about the Ambanis. Here, you got to touch the flag. Now get lost.
No.
I am not scared of the Ambanis. I am not scared of Hindutva. I am not scared of Zionism. I, as a Muslim, only fear Allah, and you, as a supporter of Zionism and a supporter of Hindutva, your bravery is shown when you support children being killed in Kashmir and children being killed in Gaza. Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said? 1 second, sir. Sir, let me have a debate with him, please. 1 second. Can I talk to him? Did you hear what he said when I spoke about children being killed? He said Hamas. What I've said throughout, the Zionist logic and the Hindutva logic is this. There is a possibility that that child in that building could have one Hamas member. So let's destroy the entire sector. It could be that Hamas is using... Brother, you're disturbing me now. Please, can you... Him, not you. But can you move this way, please? Can you have a situation where Zionists are simply saying, there is an ambulance, it may have a Hamas member, let's kill it, let's destroy it. Go have a bird's eye view of Kashmir, go have a bird's eye view of Gaza. You will see why Hind Rajab and Asif Bano were killed by the Zionists and the Hindutva, because their logic is a logic which involves two things. Using derogatory terms to demonize the other. Number two, collective punishment. Everything he has said today is a reinforcement of demonization and collective punishment. And watch, when I shut my mouth and he speaks, he will again go back to collective punishment and demonization through the labels of Islamic extremism. Hind Rajab deserves to die because she might have been linked to Islamic extremism. The same with Asif Bano. That is the logic of Hindutva. That is the logic of Zionism. That is why nobody with a moral compass in their veins will ever support these hideous ideologies.
The moral compass of Hamas and the Pakistani sponsors terrorists in Kashmir is to go past an international border or line of control, kill innocent people, and then say, oh, it's nothing to do with us, when the other side come to defend themselves. There is a story on the BBC of the IDF phoning a building because they knew there was Hamas infrastructure there, because Hamas are hiding in civilian territory, in civilian areas. There are hostages being held by civilians, which is why some extreme Israelis are just saying, let's just basically not be as targeted as they are being. They are selecting military targets. The IDF and Mossad are the best army and intelligence service in the world. And if they have found the fake BBC News out in the fact that there were Hamas operatives inside medical vehicles. That then sadly makes that vehicle a military target. Israel are going to every length possible to avoid harming innocent women and children, and Hamas are putting them in harm's way. Please go to Stop the Hate if you are viewing this. There are lies being spread round and this debate is going nowhere.
When we are talking about statistics, we are talking about something that can be independently verified to some degree. In Palestine, and one thing actually I want to say before I explain anything further. When we are having this debate, let's ignore Israeli sources, Indian sources, Pakistani sources. Let's go to as independent sources as we can. The lowest estimates that we have of the number of Palestinian civilians that have been killed is over 40,000, close to 50,000. Some are saying over 100,000. What is their crime? Their crime, according to this man, there could be Hamas in a building, there could be Hamas in an ambulance, there could be Hamas under a rock. Likewise, the Hindutva in Kashmir, they have this idea. There may be a Muslim extremist here, so let's take out the entire village. The logic of Hindutva, the logic of Zionism is the same logic, and you keep reiterating it. And thank you for having this discussion with me, because the two premises that I have repeatedly stated are being used. You have identified them and elucidated them and reinforced them and magnified them. Demonization, collective punishment. That is the logic of Zionism. That is the logic of Hindutva. You are right. This. Okay. Okay. Firstly, you were not supposed to interrupt me, but since you asked the question, brother, let me have a debate with him, please. Sorry, let me just complete. Since this debate's going nowhere, you asked me a question, I'm going to answer the question. Give one piece of evidence of collective punishment. I will give you two pieces of evidence. 1948 Nakba, 2023 to now, the Gaza genocide, and all of the years in between.
It started before 1948, 1917. Yeah.
Thank you.